Hello, it's Nikki, and welcome to the podcast. I'm so glad so many of you are loving the interviews, and thank you so much for sharing, rating, and reviewing. I so appreciate it. Anyway, I wanted to continue the conversation of success. So often we hear the extremes, don't we? Of rags to riches, homeless to billionaire, sleeping on a random sofa to a blinged up palace. But what about the in-between bits? I know personally I have had many. How do you get from A to Z? But also, how do you get from A to B or F to M? In these mini episodes, I want to provide questions to ponder, ideas that might spark a brainstorm, or raise topics that might be a little bit uncomfortable in the moment, but they will support you to go to the next level of your business. As always, please come over to social media at Nicky Raby, and I'd love to hear your thoughts and breakthroughs. Hello, okay, today I want to talk about something that I was slightly hesitant to delve into, but I do feel like it's really important. I know that it's probably not going to be relevant to everybody, and if it's not for you, feel free, skip on. There are so many other episodes, not only on this podcast, but so many other podcasts out there. Go and explore by all means. But today I wanted to talk about parenting and running a business. Now, when I became pregnant in 2015, I kind of had a plan of what I wanted my life and my business to look like, but by no means was it concrete. Was it set in stone? Was it particularly strategic? There was a lot of big goals and wouldn't it be cool if, and a lot of really sort of positive thinking of, I'm just going to figure this out. We're going to figure this out together. And we did. Of course, we have a lovely 3-year-old son who is hilarious and we adore greatly, but that is not to say that it hasn't been difficult along the way. In all kinds of ways. Before we had him, we were 2 freelancing parents. We were very spontaneous. Everything was a little bit last minute. We wouldn't plan too far in advance. We only had ourselves to take care of financially. And having a baby and losing a lot of sleep and figuring it out and having one of us to tour a lot, it's been quite tough along the way. I feel really passionate about this topic because I believe that we should all be fulfilling our dreams, going for what we want to do, earning money, having a seat at the table, if that is your choice to do so. Yet there are still so many limitations for women especially, but also parents, of being part of that conversation. We earn less, we have greater childcare needs and costs and maybe less time, and sometimes we're still not really acknowledged, we're not celebrated, and certainly choosing to stay at home with your baby is not congratulated within society. Now, in the early days of becoming a parent, I started to delve into the world of Instagram. And I was slowly but surely trying to come out of the fog of the newborn early months and start to connect with people, connect with other mums, connect with people who were doing similar things to me. I used my Instagram as a way to share or to reach out or just to have a bit of a look, actually. I started reading lots of blogs because I was craving this information. Becoming a mum was such a huge transition for me. It was wonderful, amazing, filled with love, all those good things. I couldn't actually believe that I had brought a baby into the world. But on the other hand, I was filled with quite a lot of anxiety, not a lot of sleep, a lot of questions, a lot of pain, a lot of rehabilitation, feeling like getting back to me was quite a long process. Oh, we're going deep already, ladies and gentlemen. But I certainly wasn't that woman that I saw in the press who was snapping back into shape, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It took me a long time to find my way. And this, I guess, is why I want to talk about it today. because I know so many of my clients are women who do have children or would like to have children, to build a family or to create that family in whatever way that it looks like. But family is very important to them in whatever shape or form that looks like. They do want to have a thriving business and an exciting career and brand and all that good stuff, but they also want to have a very rich home life too. And I know that I'm a great coach for women who are looking to take that next step, who are maybe transitioning from corporate, or they want to start using their skills that they already have in a different type of way. But you know what? The amount of inquiries that I have from women who are 36, 37, 38, right up to 40 weeks pregnant, emailing me saying, hi, I'd love to have a chat. I would like to work with you. I'd like to get started as soon as possible because I'd like to launch a business during my maternity leave. And I totally get it, because when I had Oscar, I suddenly became very ambitious. I lost a little bit of that selfishness of, I guess before, the way that I looked at money was money that I could just use to have a lovely time and just to do what I wanted to do what Matt and I wanted to do. But what happened when I had him was I started to see the shift of exchanging time for money. And I started to put that pressure on myself to make my time work harder for me. And so my time would actually generate more money. And I wasn't just living by other people's rules and regulations. Now, the reason that I bring up people getting in touch so late into their pregnancy is there seems to be this enormous pressure to be doing all of the things. If you go back and listen to episode 10 with Dr. Emma Svanberg, she talks brilliantly about this topic of, we're supposed to have a book, we're supposed to build a brand, we're supposed to have a product line, to be a speaker, to do whatever, to launch something, to be on a beach at the same time while our children nap. Even though I am hugely ambitious, I cannot do what I need to do just while my baby sleeps on a sheepskin whilst I tap away on my computer. It's not viable for me. I do need childcare. I do need help. I do need to have frank conversations with my partner sometimes, and he does me too. I do need the help of friends and families. I do have to say no to people sometimes. I do have to put up my own boundaries so I remain in the zone and the headspace that I know I want to be in. And so to those inquiries that are so late on in pregnancy, I never accept them. Well, certainly not at that time anyway. The thing that I always say, certainly at that time, is go and have your baby. Go and have your baby, meet your baby, see what happens, see how you feel, and come back when you're ready. And for the most part, people will come back maybe 3 or 4, 5, even a year later, and they will say, oh, I'm so glad I didn't start the coaching then. I just wasn't in the headspace. I wasn't ready. And certainly when I work with people one-to-one, I want to know that they're good to go, that they're excited. I had a client testimonial today on a voice note, and it was so lovely to hear her saying, I was so ready to do this. I just needed you to unlock it. I've got so many ideas. I can't wait to implement, and to be in that headspace of possibility and excitement about their business. Not in, oh my goodness, this is just one more thing that you're going to give me and I can't put one foot in front of the other. Now, another point that I wanted to make is I was constantly seeing women in the public eye saying, I'm just really organised. I'm just kind of thoughtful, or I just kind of exercise to make myself feel better. Of course, exercise and being organised are great things and great elements of creating success for yourself. However, they are not the only things. And like I was saying before, you do need lots of the other components too, which is why I'm talking about this. Last Friday, I was invited to do a careers talk about carving out your career plan after you have children. And more so, I'm invited to do these types of talk, and people seem to enjoy my perspective or the way that I open up the conversation, because I'm not showing this glossy, I've got it all figured out. I mean, if you watch my Instagram stories, you've probably seen me in no makeup, in tartan fleecy pajamas, at least once, because I just had something very important that I needed to tell you. And this is the thing that happens with parenting and running a business. So many people say that they have the solution. They have the one thing or the 3 things or the 7 steps or the 8 keys, and they're going to figure everything out for you. All you have to do is pay them thousands of pounds or read their book or follow their step-by-step formula, and you will have it all sorted out. But like I said in the beginning, parenting has so many different variables. Who you are as a couple, what you earn, where you live, what your idea of success is, how much childcare you have, if you had a straightforward pregnancy, if you had a good birth, how your recovery was, how your child is, what they need from you, how you're feeling. My goodness, there are so many different elements to this. So when I think about these talks, I really have to consider the tone and make sure that, yes, on one hand, I'm coming across as an expert who is an expert coach, but I am not an expert of somebody else's life. And, it's a tricky one to maneuver. So I wanted to share something with you, something that I wrote back in 2016. Which may help you plan if you're thinking about having a baby, or if you're in the throes of early newborn stage and trying to figure it all out, or even if you're a year or 2 later and you're just starting to think about the next steps for you. Or you may have older children, and looking back on this time, it may just give you that pat on the back of, oh my goodness, we did it and how far we've come. And that's how I chose to start this talk, because I felt that it was very unassuming. It was a lovely way to begin the conversation, to open it out so other people could see that I was a real person. I know it sounds so indulgent, doesn't it? Like, I'm a real person, but I am somebody who is very much a work in progress too. So this is what I read. Today is the 21st of April, 2016. The Queen celebrates her 90th birthday, and we as parents celebrate our son turning 6 months old. There have been many years when 6 months has simply skipped by. How is it June already? However, this particular 6 months is hard to quantify. In some respects, October seems years ago. Perhaps because I've never seen so many hours of the day. Those fragile first few days seem a distant memory. The relief and the love you feel when you finally meet your baby. Those bonding special moments as a couple or with those close by. And those first hours of recovery when you don't know if you will ever feel like you again. Even basic tasks such as walking seem the most ridiculous request from a stern midwife less than 24 hours in. However, to see in front of our very eyes, a mere 6 months later, that we have a jolly, eyebrow wiggling, sitting, high-fiving, definitely not sleeping, 16-pound Bubba, I can't believe the months have whooshed by, and as of tomorrow, he will be closer to his first birthday than he will be to his birth, and this blows my mind. Everyone has their own set of milestones that resonate with them. Perhaps it's getting to Christmas in one piece, or when maternity leave comes to an end. For me, 6 months seemed like a huge marker. Over the last few weeks, our baby's world has expanded. An introduction of food, going swimming, and moving our said, definitely not sleeping Bubba into his own room. Big changes are happening, which bring a mixed bag of feelings. A mega mum high five of, whoa, we made it this far. And B, how did we get here so quickly? The first night we moved him into his own room punctuated this point. I seemed to step into a bad 80s music video without the singing or the smoke. Just the pacing, the staring, the wanting to look and then knowing I should give him space. I hadn't anticipated the emotion of the move. We'd been together since January 2015. It sounds dramatic, I know. But it's just another change and he is ready. And turns out the separation sadness didn't last long. I was in there a short 53 minutes later, so I should have used the landing time far more productively. Like to have a bath, or eat my dinner, or brush my teeth. I wanted to share a few thoughts from this important time in our lives, because maybe at that time I was craving these thoughts from somebody else who was a little bit further on than I was. Okay, here we go. Food is central to everything. Food, water, and sleep make up a triangle of joyful health. However, once you have a baby, 1/3 of that triangle quickly scarpers, unless you have a rare baby who pretty much slept through the night from about 3 weeks. And by the way, I have never met these babies. So, filling, hearty, nutritious grub is crucial for you and your partner to keep the other 2 sides of the triangle afloat. And if you're reading this in the later stages, and if you're listening to this in the later stages of pregnancy, fill your freezer immediately. Do not delay. Don't worry, you don't have to get your Nigella on. A quick dash around M&S will have the same effect. Plus, stocking up on snacks, and lots of them. As a new mum, I was, and I still am, always hungry. I liken the feeling to jet lag, being on a plane for a long period of time. You have no idea what time it is, but you always want to eat. I have been known to make random rounds of toast at approximately 3:40 a.m, as it just felt like breakfast time. Life is kind of easier once the baby is here, as you know the baby you are going to parent, rather than the befuddled pregnancy anxiety. We didn't know whether we were having a boy or a girl, and once we met our baby and got to know him and his needs, life seemed smoother and more predictable, on one level. On another, we have no more sense than any other new parent. In those final few weeks of pregnancy, you have too many questions, and the unknown is difficult to comprehend. No wonder there is a tendency to feel a little bonkers. I was, and still am, come round, grateful for any kind of help. Dishes being washed, a freshly brewed tea, somebody passing you something, or switching on the telly before they leave so you can watch another rerun of a house renovation program. Wow, those things are very important. Our baby was £9.10, and so pretty much wanted a milk version of all-you-can-eat breakfast, 24/7, so those offerings made everything so much easier. My love and adoration for my parents and my family multiplied. As a nipper, I always felt secure, like things were sorted and that I was surrounded by love. And when I speak to parents with older kids now, they will often mention, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. So if this was the case in my home, it never felt like it. I understood the squinting eyes of tired parents. A mum who was pacing around the streets with a screaming baby in a weird mismatched outfit. Often that was me. And it made me always want to smile or exchange an unsaid, yeah, me too. You're doing great. Equally, other parents are the first to open doors, to offer to lend a hand with a buggy lift or chat total nonsense with you to pass the time of day. The importance and the joys of chairs. We bought an amazing, cosy, sumptuous corner sofa in the January sales. In the early newborn months, your living room becomes everything in the evening. Lounging, spreading out, casual dozing become your main pursuits. A baby chair was also a great purchase. Our Bubba seemed to be happy as long as he had something to look at. The washing machine, the shadows, his own reflection in the oven door. I promise I did interact with him too. This is just while I was doing other things. And owning a chair to transport him around makes everything less stressful. Plus, a nursing chair for feeding was great. And good for your back, as my posture has taken a beating and a nice part of the bedtime routine. Feel free to check the show notes, by the way. I will leave all the links in there. I can't believe I did so much early on. I had an emergency C-section, but bizarrely and fortunately, I recovered quite quickly and found myself having a North London, heavily medicated, slightly delirious stagger to the farmer's market 4 days later. It sounds totally nutty now. And if I'm lucky enough to have another, I will definitely not be so eager to please and be your superwoman right away. Strong boundaries and the ability to say no is vital. I now have a certain ability to cut the crap and be super productive. I really don't know how I filled my time before. I get the necessities done in record time. However, because time is of the essence with 2 self-employed parents and a small baby, I did notice I was starting to bark, "You've got 7 minutes for a shower! Go, 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 go!" Only once or twice, but still, not cool. Note to self, do not be a weird, shouty, often sweary, bossy pants. The baby books are useful, but don't in any way give you a step-by-step guide. They can be worse than a flat pack without an instruction manual. They offer general strokes of information, often not wanting to be accountable or just to give one solution on my suspicions, and give you some guidelines, but you won't know what works for your family until you're there. And sometimes mammoth tasks of "your baby should self-settle" are made to sound like a simple to-do. In fact, it can be hours of figuring out what the hell is going on and finding your own solution. Washing is always on the go. Enough said. You may be asked really personal questions that A, you don't have the answer to, or B, respond in a high-pitched voice with the first thing that comes into your mouth, whether it's actually accurate or not. Here are some of my favourites that I was asked. 1. How are your bits and bobs? This was asked by a family friend who, incidentally, is called Bob, and he's a lovely chap. And as soon as he asked, I knew he instantly regretted it. Too much information, hey? 2. When are you having another? Do you want a big family? This was when we were 5 days in. 3. How are your ankles? Still swollen. 4. During my late pregnancy, I was asked by a birthing know-all guy. In truth, he had all the gear and no idea. When are you getting swept? Which, may I add, came with a hand gesture. I know, grim. I've really appreciated the small pleasures in life. A bath, a hug, a tea, cake, sunshine to make the walks more pleasurable, good people, my local community, the importance of having time to care for yourself, a manicure, a haircut, dare I say a wax. Previously, for some unknown reason, I've always thought it was flippant that a haircut could make you feel better. Wrong. My hairdresser greeted me and my out-of-control mane that incidentally was so long I could tuck it into my lounging pants. You are welcome for that image. With a I'm so glad you've come hug, as though I'd trekked across some mountainous range in a blizzard. Nope, I just took a while to get my shit together after having a baby. 5 inches off later, I'm a shorter-haired woman who looks like she may have her shit together. Boom. In truth, I do, most of the time. It takes a lot of focus and concentration to take care of a newborn, but a sassy haircut makes society less judgy. My body is very clever. Not only have I carried a whopper of a baby, I have fed him and bounced, danced, flown, rocked, wiggled him around. My body has cleverly adapted to sleep deprivation. I was an early night and 8 hours, own bed all night type of girl before. And sure, I may not be entering a Victoria's Secrets competition anytime soon, but that's okay. Plus, the combination of concealer and blusher are always there to hide a multitude of midnight madness. What a power couple. I have lots of guilt. The friends that I haven't had the time, energy or coordination to speak to and give my full attention. I'm sorry. I am aware of this, and it will improve, I'm sure. Or conversations that I start and then pause and say, nope, it's gone. Equally questions of, so, what do you do all day? Mum stuff? Or, how's life? They're just too big to answer in a general way. Occasionally, I wonder if I am on track and doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing. Teaching him a language. How are his fine motor skills? Is he happy? No, good, and yes are the answers. And being kind to myself is again the answer. And being kind to myself is again the lesson. Our house may look like we've been burgled most of the time, and a good cleaner is not only a great investment but invaluable and eliminates so many potential arguments. On another note, storage solutions such as baskets, i.e. a designated place where stuff can be easily found/chucked, a special change bag, seemed a stupid indulgence at the time. 60 quid? But this bag of tricks is always good to go, essential for that quick getaway. Buggy, baby, bag, go. Most people will have an opinion on most things, and will mostly like to share it with you, even if they do it in disguise, even if they do it in a disguise of maybe you could, have you ever thought of, I've picked up some gems along the way, thank you, but a lot of shears I would never do. Your baby, your choice, and the act of nodding and smiling is a trained, valuable skill. Often things will get more complicated than needed. Information overload, the weaning process, the number of bed options, how I should play with my baby. Do what works for you. Ignore the updates. I quickly unsubscribe from many newsletters. Oh, and keep Googling to a minimum. You will uncover all kinds of horrors. Finally, love. Love. Apparently, it's all you need. I look at my baby boy and I see how much he's loved not only by us, but also our friends and family. We've been so lucky with the support that we've been given. The thoughts, the gifts, the care and the love. And yeah, sometimes everything gets a bit real. AKA month 3, when a stomach bug resulted in a projectile poo at 3 a.m. that shot across the room about a metre and hit the door and then slid down like this. And this is certainly something that doesn't feature in the JoJo Mum and Baby Spring Summer magazine. But I'm sure parents listening to this have had something similarly ludicrous. On the whole, life is good. I thank my blessings that this sweet, curious little character is in our lives, and I have the pleasure of being his mummy. I feel very lucky. I hope you got lots from that. You may be in a completely different state to what I was when I wrote that. But hopefully there will have been some little nuggets that have called out or just reminded you that actually you're doing what you need to do. That you are more than okay. That you are excelling in ways that you never knew were possible. And actually reading that for me, it makes me feel proud. And I'm Northern, I'm not supposed to say this. I'm not supposed to be a show-off. But I do. I feel really proud of myself. I feel like I've come a long way. I feel proud of us as a family. Because life can be quite tricky sometimes. It can be hard. And there's something very full circle about this, because I'm recording this the night before we're about to make a journey up north to say goodbye to a family member. And when I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about today, I wanted to talk about entrepreneurship and family and life and doing life and business on your terms. But you can have all the vision and the positive thinking and all the good stuff. But because of the life that we are in, sometimes some bad stuff comes up too. Sometimes some curveballs or some unexpected things, or some life experiences where we have to dig so deep. So there we go. I want to leave it there. Please email me, hello@Nicky Raby. If you have any thoughts, please check the description box. There's lots of links in there. And I'll link to the blog post that I read from if you do want to share it with somebody who may benefit. Thank you as always for listening. I love having you here. Thank you. I'll see you soon. Bye.